Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have with me once again Auryn Bebek. You know, if you're going to be investing in any company, it's always good to look at the management, but it's always good to look and see what their track record is. And Auryn Bebek, along with his partner, Sean Wallace, have had a remarkable amount of success in their young lives. They're still relatively young men yet. They've had a couple of big successes. We had Auryn Resources on this show before, which Auryn and Sean headed up, and it was a home run in a very bad market. And now they're back to do it again, both of these gentlemen with their team, and they have assembled a lot of very talented people around them. Given, success breeds success. And so Auryn Bebek and Sean Wallace and his team have really grown very remarkably over the last few years. Auryn trades in Toronto. You can buy it under the symbol AUG, and you can buy it in the U.S., as I have, under the symbol GGTCF, trading at around US $2, and with giving it a market cap of around $73 million in U.S. money, something like that, probably $100 million or so in Canadian dollars. Thank you for joining me again, Auryn.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back.
Always good to have you. You just keep building up your management team, and I noticed that you just announced a new person joining your board, Michael Kosowan. Can you tell us a little bit about Michael?
Yeah, so those of you, that don't know Michael, he's very well known on the U.S. natural resource investing side. He had worked with Rick Rule at Sprott Global Investments in Sprott Wealth in Toronto, but, for years out of San Diego, which was is the largest natural resource investors kind of from a brokerage perspective in the States. And Michael came from an engineering background and had worked with the majors prior to working with some juniors, but was one of the premier U.S. Natural resource investors. He was a cornerstone investor with Keegan, Caden, and is with Auryn. As you saw by his recent insider filings, he has nearly 3 million shares of our company. He's someone that we've worked with for about 13 years. Him and I we found each other earlier in our careers, and we both drank the same Kool-Aid or the same formula of understanding the business and what should make mining companies or exploration companies do well. Not too soon after, Michael had a chance to meet Sean and the rest of the team, and we grew this really strong connection and relationship from the actual issuer side or the company side where we're at, and with Michael on the brokerage side. And he was one of our top financiers, and that's as we've described him in our press release. But he brings a wealth of understanding and knowledge of the capital markets. He also has a very significant following amongst several newsletter writers because of his technical background. He understands these things quite well. And, there's one thing to understand a good mining asset, but it's also understanding a good mining management team that's able to monetize these assets. A lot of times you get these great technical companies and successes, but you don't necessarily get a share price success. So he was a perfect fit for us. We've been talking to him for about, several years, or the last 5 years more seriously, letting him know that if he ever wanted to switch from the broker side to come to the company side, we'd have an opening for him. And, I think I'll speak a little bit for Mike, but the appeal of the management team, the track record, which he was, on one side of for the last few companies, but the technical team and projects and portfolio that we were able to assemble with Auryn, it drew in another great guy into the team, and that's what you're seeing with Michael.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's very important to note, you just mentioned that Michael has a good chunk of shares in your company, and that the management of your company really does eat their own cooking, don't they?
Yeah, I've been a very active buyer lately off the recent lows, and the seasonal low for gold is as painful as it is when this market, goes down on us and everyone else. It's kind of my favorite time. I get excited because it's an opportunity for me on the buy side. Not to say that I don't buy us on good days when good developments happen, but we went on sale, and that's all spirited because I probably know the most of anyone in our entire company in terms of the assets, as well as I follow it closely from not just a project perspective, but from the financial perspective and what these things could mean going forward. I choose to be that involved, and that's what spirits my insider bias, is knowing a lot about all of what we have. I don't have enough shares yet based on the prize that's in front of us, as well as the market timing. And, if I can find a position to buy more, you'll see me constantly adding more. And it's just because, I can't really compete with what Auryn's doing with a lot of other investments. Not to say that I don't have other investments. I do have them in other gold companies, and I have some large ones as well, but I trust our management team the most because I'm a partner in that team and part of directing how this thing goes forward. So it gives me that confidence to make real investments into what we do. And the other thing about it is, when you have these successes, as we did with Caden and Keegan, in those early days, it was a lot more difficult to find the capital. And as you remember, Caden was in the bear market, so it wasn't like a lot of people in the mining market were rolling in profits of other deals to buy their own deals further. But, in this case, we came out with a very big win on Caden, and when I look around and look at the money, and if I'm going to recommend or introduce our company to investors such as yourself, I'm buying alongside you guys as I'm talking about it because I truly believe in it. And for us, I think that's a great testament to the quality of the work we're doing, and that, the genuine belief in what we're doing and how real we feel it is. And that's why you see it.
Well, you have so much to talk about. We better get going on to a couple of your projects. We've maybe got 5 minutes to talk about Peru and what you got going in the BC and also the Nunavut. But talk to us about Peru. What are your plans there? You have a couple of targets that are world-class, really. Talk to us about Peru.
Yeah, so I'll keep it short for the sake of time, but we have 4 projects in Peru. They're outstanding projects. They were picked by a gentleman by the name of Miguel Cardozo, who's credited with the gold discovery of Yanacocha, and that's a 60 million ounce gold district today. So an incredible PhD geologist, formerly had worked with Newmont. He is so well connected in Peru. He was actually on the short list to be the vice mine minister of Peru, but that there was some conflicts because of his background in geologist and we preferred that he wasn't because he brought us all these projects and is running things for us in country. The projects that we have, Sombrero, which is the one we'll likely be drilling early in Q1 of next year, it's where you're going to see the next surface programs ahead of the drill program that gets started. This is 200 kilometers west of the Las Bambas mine, which recently sold for $5.8 billion in 2014 to MMG from Glencore. An incredible copper deposit. This is a copper porphyry skarn belt that it sits on. They had a very small credit of gold, but as you move the 200 kilometers west to Sombrero, you get into our target, which has only been surface sampled. It's never been drilled. We have 20 kilometers of strike length of targets, and this is defined by, magnetics, geophysics, all the fun technical stuff, but real simple for your listeners and anyone to understand. There's a lot of multi-gram gold and a lot of multi% copper on these contacts between the limestone and the intrusive rock. Basically, when the rocks found each other as they were being formed, they had an explosion and all the minerals were created and they formed into these systems. We're seeing up to 9% copper, up to 5.8 grams gold, in several other areas up to 4.5% copper, up to 2.5 grams gold. And what it gives us in terms of scale, when you look to a neighboring deposit such as Las Bambas, which was a major, major deposit, and you look at the metrics of it, the size is certainly there. It could be arguably bigger in terms of surface expression. The structural components of it being able to host a major skarn, meaning gold and copper deposit, it's significant. And the grade is what really overwhelms us and everyone else. It's actually, since being in the career and since I've started this business, it's the number one target that I'll ever drill that's never been drilled, with a surface expression being so good as it is before the first drill hole goes into it. And, I have to reiterate, when you see 9% copper off surface, 5% copper, 4% copper, and then you're seeing 5+ grams gold and multi-gram gold, it gets exciting. The hair gets up on the back of my neck. I think it's something that could be spectacular. It's a skarn. It's not necessary. These aren't always easy, but when you find them, these are the multi-billion dollar, as you saw in Las Bambas, kind of targets that they can be, and that's the big prize at the end of it. So that's a company maker in itself, irregardless of the other 5 projects in our company. So quite spectacular. And then 2 other ones I'll talk a bit real quick about is Huillacoyo and Baños del Indio. These are down in the southern portion of Peru near the border. This is the epithermal gold district. Huillacoyo Okoyo. I've argued with many people in a very positive manner that it's very similar to what Barqueño was for Caden when we first got there. There's a very short, easy path towards adding ounces of oxide gold, which is the most profitable gold that you can find. How many could be there? It has to be multi-million ounce for us to take on these projects. Again, the guy who found it is a key player or a key guy that was part of discovering Yanacocha, as I mentioned before. So it certainly has the scalability to get bigger, but you're looking at the top of a hill. It's been barely drilled. Their mineralization starts at the top of the hill, so you're not stripping anything back, and there's a power substation within a kilometer of this property, and there's water right to it. So you're looking at a very, very, very profitable type of scenario that could get big and have the right rocks that would be very profitable for us going forward. What's really important about this is it's on a big north-south structure. This structure goes right into Baños, and Baños is one of the largest untested alteration systems in the Andes. An analogous of a mine that's well known down in South America is called La Coipa, which is about 7 million ounces of gold, not too far away, just across the border in Chile. When you look at La Coipa and you look at Baños, similar scale and size of alteration system, what gives us confidence that Baños could be real is that the same structure carrying gold at Okoyo goes right through Baños, but the alteration system is much, much bigger. We think the shot here, if it's there, is a 7 to 10 million ounce discovery, or possibly larger. This came to us as a favorite project of one of our directors, Antonio Rivas, who is the chief exploration geologist for Newmont, and before that he was the VP of geosciences for BHP. So he was the chief geologist for two of some of the biggest mining companies in the world, and he's seen everything, and he'd been after this project since the early 90s. He tried when he was with Placer, and then he tried again with Newmont, but he couldn't get through the bureaucracy of a major and private owners that of a large private family, and we were able to do that because of the opportunity in the market. And so those are the three main ones that we're really excited about to go work on, and you will see us drill all three of those at some point next year, starting as early as Q1.
Yeah, that's in Peru. And then, of course, you've just come out with some good metallurgical results from a very exciting property that you have, the Homestake property in British Columbia. Maybe just take 30 seconds to tell us about the results.
Yeah, Homestake is a million ounces of 9 grams in the Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle is called that because of some of the richest mines, or the richest mine ever found in the world, being Eskay Creek is there, Pretium is there. A lot of really, really good big discoveries have been made there. We think that million ounce of 9 grams gets a lot bigger, but the biggest question we had on this asset was the metallurgy. How profitable is the rock per ton? What would be the value? And if you do the calculations off what we saw, you're looking at rock that's worth around $12,000 per ton at today's metal prices. And you're not going to be milling on site. Here you would sell a concentrate, and just speculating, the cost of moving that each ton of rock being a few $100s a ton, that's a fragment of the value that I just mentioned, being north of $12,000 a ton. And so when you look at a million ounces of 9 grams gold equivalent, you look at producing a concentrate and selling a concentrate, you're looking at a 6-kilometer road to a deep sea port, so you can send it basically anywhere. You're looking at a very, very rich deposit with very, very good economics based on the extractability of the metal out of the rock. Where we lose sleep at night on Homestake is the fact that it can get much bigger. There was some drilling done before us, and it's a real simple system, to us. Low to intermediate sulfidation is the technical classification, means there's a zonation factor. Top layer of the system is predominantly silver, and then you get into a big gold layer, and then at depth you would get into gold and copper. And so what these guys did before us, not too different from Committee Bay, they got on to discovery. They drilled 73 meters of 21 grams per ton gold, which is one of the best holes I've ever seen. And they went in, they kept drilling in that one area. They didn't really look out too much beyond that, and why should they? They were hitting gold right around there. But we're big picture thinkers, and we looked along strike, and we see 3 kilometers long of a silver zone that's been discovered, but no one's drilled that second layer, the gold layer beneath it. So for us to double it, we think that's what we call brownfields exploration. That's the conservative look. And if you did the economics and the numbers off of our metallurgy and the rocks that's there, and the tonnage and the value of the tonnage of rock that's there right now, it gets really big really fast. So it's a spectacular project for us.
Well, we're going to have to let it go at that, Ivan, and we didn't even get to Committee Bay, and you did come up with a whole bunch of new targets to shoot at next year at that high-grade massive project up in Nunavut. So we'll have you back on sometime in the near future, and maybe when you come out with some, when we talk to you again, perhaps you'll have some time to talk about that one. So I want to thank you very much for being with us again. So much going on. You have a very exciting company, and I guess you will get some results throughout the year, probably next year, since you're now drilling in warm weather areas.
Yeah, one final note, you'll see results as early as January from Peru on the surface results, and then we're going to embark on a 55,000-meter drill program. We're drilling 25 targets across 6 projects, which has never really been done on the discovery basis ever before, and we're targeting it with one of the deepest technical teams in the entire business, predominantly former major experts that were with the major. Yes. But this program, Jay, which we're going to start next year, it's unheard of to be this aggressive and go for it. And what's
for a junior, it's incredible.
Actually, the majors have told us that they are not even running programs this big.
I know.
But what's driving it for us, and on this note, it's the rocks and the technical team. It's a great team, and the rocks are all the right kinds of rocks. The perspective of each target is real, and we're going to go for it in a rising gold market, and that's how I think we're going to do phenomenal for our shareholders.
I don't doubt it. Thank you very much for being with us, and we'll be talking to you again sometime in the near future.